Oh, looks like I need to change the topic. What is up, folks? Episode number 9, Frag Logic, bringing it for you guys. Got my boy Skyless Colin here with me. What's
What's
up,
up?
dude?
Not too
Uh,
much.
Let me get right on this. Battlefield 4, that's what we're opening up with. So today, talking about Battlefield 4, as you guys can see, updated that. We have what is that? The other one after that. Do gamers know what they want in the game? This is a very interesting discussion. I can't wait to get into that. Community topic is perfect spectating features, and then we get into some Gears Judgment. And the Gears Judgment stuff is going to be very small portion of the show. Um, Obviously, you know, they have the rifle buff stuff going on, but active reload is going to be tomorrow. I'll be on there. You guys get to hear me talking about that on that show. So starting with Battlefield, we ended. Did we end the show last week on Battlefield 4? Or did we just kind of touch on it like in the middle of the show? I can't remember.
Neither.
I think we touched on it. I just know we touched on it. Um, so Dice EA had a event around the time that we had the episode 8 of last week for Frag Logic.
You know what? They had their announcement after the show.
It was right after the show. Okay, that's right. And they showed off some single player gameplay, And they also had an event, and I didn't know about this, but I actually follow or I'm subscribed to Rival X Factor. So if anybody out there, if you guys are from YouTube, you follow me on YouTube, you might know of Rival X Factor from YouTube. Dude is an awesome Battlefield player, and and I actually subscribe to him and I watch his videos every now and again, just so I can stay up to date on some Battlefield stuff because that's a game that Stylus and I enjoy. And his not his most recent one, but like a video last week, I think maybe over the weekend I watched it. He was talking about this event that Dice and EA held where they invited 32, I think it's the number he gave, uh, players from the YouTube community, both Battlefield and Call of Duty, and basically he was trying to say that Dyson EA are really pushing for Battlefield 4 to take over Call of Duty. And he brought up some very funny points, and a couple of them I mentioned in this one, but he brought up some very funny points that I kind of want to start off this conversation with. Is that he said, and this is not me, guys, this is him, and I don't. He wasn't trying to word it in a mean way. If you guys have heard his commentaries, he's a nice dude, but he was saying that console gamers like it a little bit easier, so they enjoy Call of Duty more, and Battlefield doesn't run as well on the consoles as it does on PC, which I agree with. And then on the PC side of things, he says that PC guys don't like Call of Duty because it's too easy, and Battlefield looks a lot better, and it plays a lot better on PC. So I want to start this off with: is Battlefield, if EA goes after Dice, can Battlefield overtake the console market? What do you think?
No.
Not even close? Just flat out no? You're just not even going to think about it. Just no.
Yeah, no. I can elaborate in the sense that I think the Call of Duty is just so big that it's really gonna be hard for them to fail. You know from our experience at eBash when we worked at Land Center. For those who don't know, we worked at Land Center for a few years, and a lot of the guys came in and were always playing with their buddies. So it was always 3 or 4 people playing together, and the same guys over and over, and they keep on playing, keep on playing, keep on playing. And you kind of get the same thing with World of Warcraft and League of Legends and so on and so forth. And the recurring theme here is those games stick around. When you have friends as a group, they'll continually go back. And the Call of Duty community is lots of groups like that. You know, groups of 4, 5, 6
4 or
people,
5, yeah.
and they're gonna keep going back to it because their friends are playing. And it's gonna take something really especially bad to get enough of the group to leave to go join something else. So that's my 2 cents. The experience itself is different. Like it's way different for Call of Duty and Battlefield. I don't think that, like, say those people were really disappointed with Call of Duty. I don't see them finding what they want in Battlefield, like because it's like realistic versus arcade. You know.
Here's an interesting point to this whole console thing. So, would you agree that Infinity Ward dropped the ball with Modern Warfare 3?
Sure.
Would you agree that Infinity Ward is not as good as Treyarch currently?
Sure. Considering Infinity War got gutted.
All right. So, this next Battlefield goes toe to toe with Infinity Ward's Call of Duty, not Treyarch's. So, I think that from a gameplay standpoint, Dyson EA are probably like, hey, and I would put money that they've probably game plan now to launch whenever Modern Warfare is up from Infinity Ward, because they're not the same studio. They're releasing, in my opinion, a shitty version of Call of Duty. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see more people turn over, either go back to Black Ops 2, or they decide to, hey, let me try out Battlefield, because I, it's something new, and it's kind of like Call of Duty. The funniest thing is, like, if you ever see a Call of Duty player go over to Battlefield and they think it's the same, they get absolutely demolished.
Oh yeah.
most of it is because of bullet drop, but the games are not nearly the same. And so I always think that I think it's just the military, like, oh, it's military tactical shooter, it's gonna play the same. It's like, no way. Um, But the if someone said
Yeah, they're saying the
on,
audio is low and it's not synced.
well, I can't do anything about the sync thing. Let's see what I can do here for you guys before we continue on. I can do some auxiliary boosting. Check, check.
As he goes yelling in the mic, is it louder
Yeah,
now?
is it louder? Is it louder now? I don't think the audio is going to be synced up. There's just no way we can do it. Uh, it's pretty like drastically behind. So we're recording this pretty odd. So I don't really think the audio is going to be in sync. Sorry if my lips look like I'm in one of those Asian movies right now. I'm sorry. Anyway, so back to what I was saying. So EA, Dice saying, "Hey, Infinity Ward's up. Um, let's go toe to toe with them." I think they have legitimately have a shot at making it better um, than Infinity Ward will. So I wouldn't be surprised if at least a couple people turn their heads. And I believe Rival X Factor in his video threw out some numbers. He said that like the first, second, and third Battlefield Modern Combat, Battlefield Bad Company, Battlefield Bad Company 2. Okay, those three sold like a couple million titles, or yeah, a couple million across the board. Battlefield 3 came along and it sold something in the ordinance of like 10 million first week, which was like the most ever. And I remember the marketing push from EA and Dice was pretty significant for Battlefield 3. And they went toe to toe with Modern Warfare 3. That was like their first year of them saying, hey, you know, we have a good product here. We're going to compete with Call of Duty. And then they're supposed to come back around for Battlefield 4, do the same thing. And then not only that, of the 32 people that were invited to this special event with the YouTubers, Rival X Factor said that five or six, were Battlefield uh, players. The other, what is that, 25, 26 were Call of Duty YouTubers. They're going after him hard.
It is pretty shisty
That's pretty shisty.
going around towards the Call of Duty guys, saying, "Hey, you want a free trip? Come play some
Hey,
video games."
yeah, you want a free trip? I mean, I know you guys would probably like this game. If we pay for your trip, I know you'll like this game and post some videos.
Yeah.
But they invited like White Boy 7th Street, Woody's Gamer Tag, a couple other guys, and those guys are all big time Call of Duty people. So I I'm not saying that I think it'll overtake it, but I legitimately think that Battlefield 3 was a better product to me than Modern Warfare when it came out 3. So I wouldn't be surprised if Battlefield 4 is better than whatever Infinity Ward decides to shit out for the holiday season.
Yeah. I just don't think they'll pull the Call of Duty players over.
Not at all. Not with the. I just gave you 26 YouTubers. 26.
It won't matter though, because this is a whole different game. Even if they get them to buy it, they won't stay.
Colin,
It's
26.
completely different. Completely different. Unless you can get that whole group of friends to hop over to Battlefield and keep playing, it won't happen.
It's gonna happen. I have faith. I have faith. I think that this is going to be the time, the game, if any game could, this is the game that makes people say, hey, you know, I'm tired of Call of Duty. I'm tired of Infinity Ward. I'm going to try Battlefield 4. I
You
really do.
also realize that it's just been 2 years since Battlefield 3 came out, right?
Yeah, it's been 2 years since Modern Warfare 3.
Yep. And I don't expect either game to really change much. And I don't expect the sale numbers to change that much.
Well, I don't think Battlefield 4 is going to change drastically from Battlefield 3, not at all. But I think that it's going to be marketed a lot more prominently. Hence the YouTubers, again, the
Yeah,
people that
I'm
make
sure
Call of
it'll
Duty
get
content.
out there. But it's essentially going to be a Battlefield 3 expansion pack, which is saying something concerning they've already released like 5 expansions to
Exactly.
called or Battlefield 3. I like the direction the Battlefield goes their DLC a lot better than Call of Duty. Like they actually add content versus just maps. So
Yes,
I don't know.
yes.
Like I said, I think Battlefield will be a better game. I don't see them picking up Call of Duty fan base.
Dang, just like that. Why you gotta ruin? You're a fun ruiner.
No. I mean, I would be happy that Battlefield would overthrow. It's just unlikely.
All right. So you actually found a quote from GameSpot where Dice's general
Carl
manager
Magnus Troedsson.
says some they're very interested in esports. What does that mean to you for Battlefield in Battlefield terms? What does that mean to you?
Not much. They were pretty interested in esports at the beginning of Battlefield 3, and they didn't do anything. See, you're just gonna make me be the spoiler again. Like you know this is true. But you still throw it to me, and it's like, so Colin, what did Battlefield not do with esports?
What did they not do? You're the spoiler of fun.
So
I'm
at the
setting you
beginning of
up.
Battlefield 3, they were talking about a spectator mode for PC, since the Battlefield 2 PC competitive community is actually pretty large. They've been doing their thing for years, on Battlefield 2. Instead, they announced a console tournament, $1.6 million, Virgin Gaming. We've talked about this before.
Yes.
And it seems like with that, the thing that Virgin Gaming was waiting on was in-game support for reporting. Virgin Gaming likes to do everything automated, so it would have required something on EA and Dice's end to kind of facilitate that in the back end, where you'd be able to schedule your match in game and then it would report it at the end. That obviously never happened, and the tournament never happened, and there's no spectate mode, and there's still no spectate mode. And now they're like, oh yeah, we're really interested in esports. It's blowing up. Where were you when it wasn't blowing up and when it was starting to blow up? Like this is all the same stuff they were saying with Battlefield 3. I think this time maybe they'll throw spectate mode in, but the game is
Not a spectator friendly game.
there's that, but it's also 5 months from release or 6 months from release based on the rumor date. So if they're just now going around the community asking like, hey, what would be good in a spectate mode? Like, what would help you guys? Like, that's pretty late in the game for them to be piling onto that. I wouldn't expect like some crazy feature suite.
Right.
So that's my 2 cents,
Well,
and then some.
hold on. I'm gonna.
Yeah, I could also point out that it's not a very spectator-friendly game to begin with. I
Yeah,
watched a bunch of Battlefield 2 streams. It wasn't easy to follow by any means.
it's kind of like what we were talking about with Planet Side. It's like you have all this massive scale stuff going on, and it's really hard to figure out what you need to watch in terms of action. You can highlight a couple key points if you're talking about conquest or rush. Should be like the bomb, whatever the hell the crate. Uh, it's just really hard to view, and the numbers for it make it like, well, what player am I watching today of the 32 on the battlefield? So in that regard, it's one of the harder games to kind of just sit down and stream and kind of understand what's going on. And there's so many different avenues that you could choose. It's like aerial combat, the sea. What are you going to be, Captain Colin?
Captain Skyless.
And then you have
Sky Captain.
the Sky Captain. Then you have the land-based combat. It's like the tanks and the Doom buggies and all that stuff going on. So it makes it very difficult to kind of view and understand what's going on and what are major plays and stuff like that. So if there is any type of esports action going on, that's going to have to be consolidated into like one of those. Was Rush 4v4 or Squad Rush? I think is what
Squad
it's
Rush
called.
is what we played for Battlefield. Or Bad Company 2.
Bad Company 2. So we played a Squad Rush 4 versus 4 tournament. It was a $10,000 tournament in 2009.
I think so.
Sounds about right. 2009, and we ended up getting third place in that. We won like I don't know a couple $1,000, and basically what they did was take a huge portion of the map, consolidate it down into a really small portion of the map, and then you played that section of the map 4 versus 4. So unless they have something like that, I don't really see them making separate maps You know what I mean?
And that's not even
For
Battlefield, really. Like
yeah,
that's
it's
not
not.
it's not Battlefield. That's
That's
like a bastardized version of Call of Duty at that point.
exactly, exactly. So, uh, I don't really know how to make that game in particular spectator friendly or even esports friendly in that regard. It kind of suffers the same thing we were talking about with PlanetSide. But hearing them say that and then thinking about the $1.6 million tournament that never happened just makes me think that it'll be the same old thing with them. Like they're gonna pump it early, get everyone all hyped, get the competitive guys like, yeah, I'm gonna practice, I'm gonna practice, I'm gonna practice. Nothing comes of it. So not too high on them with the esports thing. Uh, then I have on there weapons. Battlefield 4, and where I was going with this is, do you think the weapons are going to change at all? I personally, I think they're going to be pretty much the same old thing that we've seen.
From
Um,
the single player video, which they released, which if you haven't seen, it's 17-minute gameplay is what they revealed on Tuesday.
the
Starting
title of
out
it
with
is
Total Eclipse of the Heart.
Fishing in Baku. Yeah, yeah, total.
Yeah. So if you haven't watched it, the weapons are all they look the same. There's like a grenade launcher, a machine gun, and a shotgun. I'm sure they have model numbers, but there is no like high tech gadgetry or anything like that in the video. It was all really basic stuff. I mean, it's what you'd expect in a Battlefield game. I imagine they'll switch around some of the models and stuff, but for the most part, it's gonna be the same stuff.
Do you think microtransactions are going to be in there, considering Call of Duty? I mean, I think they were kind of already in with EA um, back a while ago, but do you think that they're going to do it more like Call of Duty's like, well, we can do weapon skins, we can do camos, we can do tags and all that stuff?
Didn't Battlefield 3 have it set up so that you could either play a long ass time to get all your stuff unlocked, or you could buy the all the unlocks for a class? I believe it's how they had it set up for Battlefield 3.
I don't remember being able to buy
You could just outright
everything.
pay like $40 and you get all the unlocks, or you
Man,
could do it by class.
I wish, I wish I could do that. I don't know. I would have paid attention. I would have just bought it, to be
I'm
honest.
pretty sure it's what they did, and it took forever to get the unlocks too. Like, you remember how much we grinded just to get to a point where we had one class all the way unlocked?
We played
Probably for a good month.
for a solid like month and a half,
Yeah,
just to
and
get at a comparable level.
I think I just barely got my last tank unlocks towards the end, and then one class. So they'll probably do the same thing, which is okay. It's a bit annoying considering that I paid for the game and I have
Wait,
to
wait
unlock
till the
everything.
Don says he bought the medic unlocks. So I think you're right, Colin.
Yep, of course I'm
Of course I'm right. Of
right.
course. Um, that is pretty much all I had on this. Where are we at? 20-minute mark. Oh yes, we're making good time today. Um, the next thing I wanted to transition into was the idea of, do gamers know what they want in a game? And I don't know if I can actually fit that in the topic. Do gamers know what they want? Gamers to know what they want. Oh, I did it. Yeah. I should say do, but we'll just pose it as a question. So with this, where I'm going with this, and kind of look in the chat to see what you guys think about it as well, is every iteration of a game. This is coming from someone that I've been in gaming for a really long time now, and so is Colin. Played a lot of different games, and it seems like to me, every time you make a franchise title, gamers have all these expectations for the series, and so it makes it so that the developer can really only do a couple things if they want to expand upon the series. We're seeing this with Gears, we've seen it with Call of Duty, we've seen it with Battlefield. Any game that goes into a franchise, if they try something new, they're wrong. If they do the same thing, they're wrong. So it's like, do gamers really know what they want? Only, or do they not know what they want? And then once you put it on their table, they say, okay, yeah, I can work with this. And then they kind of fine tune their way, uh, kind of, providing feedback, whatever, on the game about how it can improve in the next iteration. And if you talk with people in design, I'm not going to name any names, not going to name any studios, just people that I've talked to in the studio from designer standpoint. They will flat out tell you that gamers don't know shit about games and they don't know what they want until they have it. So as a gamer, for you guys out there in the stream, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like you know what you want in a game until you played it, or does it have to be something that it's been out for a little while and then you get a taste for it and then you kind of know what you want? And Colin, you can
Someone says,
chime in
"I
here.
know what I want."
I know what I want.
I'll say this. I think that the Call of Duty series, so we're just going to keep going back to this all day, apparently. The Call of Duty series is a good example of people knowing what they want, which is ultimately the same thing. I think that at the end of the day, people don't want big changes. And most people, it's pretty rare that I see someone say, I really like this, but I wish it was completely different. You know what I mean? Like, that's not usually
That's
the
almost like
case.
a paradox. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's like if you like it, then you probably want it to be somewhat similar. But then I can also give two examples of things where they didn't necessarily know they wanted it, and they're really similar: Horde mode in Gears, and then zombies in Call of Duty. I think both of those were added to the series partial part of the way through. I think Horde was Gears 2, and zombies was World at War. I think that's right. Nazi zombies.
you might be right on
Yeah.
that.
So like
I know
those were
Gears did it
added.
first.
Yeah, Gears definitely did it first. And those were added into the series. They attracted a different crowd, but at the same time, it was still Call of Duty players that were making the base of those groups. So it wasn't like or Call of Duty players and Gears players for Gears.
Right.
It was just people that found something else they liked that was also within the same franchise and realm as the other stuff. So those were examples of things which I don't think gamers necessarily knew they wanted, but when they played it, it was large enough to build a fan base. Horde was the most played game type in Gears 2. Nazi Zombies was super popular. I'm not sure on the numbers though.
Okay. Yeah. I'm leaning more towards the developer side. People want us to restart the stream. I am not going to restart the stream because it will make two different things. I'm sorry for the lag delay. I don't know why it's doing that. I don't know why it's out of sync, but I will not restart the stream because it creates hell for me when I try to upload to YouTube. Um, so I lean more towards the designer side of it because if you introduce something new, like you said, and those are pretty good examples, even before Call of Duty came out, um, you take a look at Modern Warfare, and that introduced all this new kind of like perk system, level ups, and progression, player progression, and a shooter wasn't really done on the same level. You had like ranks and things of that nature with Halo, but they took it to a new level, and then all of a sudden, all these other games are like, okay, that seems like that's what we need to do, and so that wasn't really around, and then gamers kind of just expect that now with shooters, and if you try to regress, it's really difficult to do that. And then with each, and this kind of goes into, I guess, the theme of this episode is, talking about features in games and stuff. But you take example like spectating mode or theater mode, for example, for Halo, that wasn't really done on the console side of things. And then once it was there, you look at every other game and every other community is like, well, why don't you guys fucking have this? This game has it. They've been doing that. Why don't you do it? And so it wasn't really around. And then all of a sudden now it's there. It's like, oh, we definitely want that. But no one really talked about it on the console side until Halo 3, or I think that's when it got introduced. Halo 3 introduced theater mode and was like, this is what it needs to be. This needs to be in every single game. I don't care what goes on. You guys need to make that happen. And so we kind of see developers adopt the same thing. So you have Call of Duty, Infinity Ward with theirs, and then Treyarch with theirs at the theater mode system. And then some other examples. We talked about spectating a little bit, and we're going to get on that here in a bit more. You mentioned Horde, and there's things like the progression system in Call of Duty. But what about when you take something like Warcraft or I don't know, just whatever mod you want to decide. Just pick one on the PC community, and then they mod it, and then that next thing you know, that's like the craze. DayZ, for example, like no one knew that was like gonna blow up. And here's a funny story for you guys. Um, there's a couple guys that have kind of thrown around the zombie idea at in the previous that I've talked to. This is maybe like right around the time that Left 4 Dead had just come out. I had talked to some guys and it's like, hey, we actually pitched a zombie idea, and if you asked anyone in the industry, releasing a zombie game was dumb at the time. It's just dumb. You don't want to do that. That's a stupid ass idea. Left 4 Dead drops, super popular. Left 4 Dead 2 drops. Then you see a couple of the horde slash zombie stuff with Nazi zombie stuff with Call of Duty, and then you have DayZ, and DayZ just blows up. And then you have WarZ, which was building building off of DayZ, but scammed everybody. Same thing. And so, no one really knows what they want until someone throws it out there, and then you get to kind of mess around with it. That's at least my opinion on it. I've trying to look in the chat a little bit since I've kind of rambled for some. I see you kind of chatting there, Colin, with them. I want to see who said that they knew what they want. Do you have who?
I don't know. It's devolved into Halo vs. COD.
Halo vs. COD? Oh. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Oh, it's Gundam Fire. Gundam Fire says, I know what I want. Left 4 Dead is still a good game.
He wants to hold 2 meat shields and walk with the boom shot.
So, where I'm kind of going with that to kind of build on it more is like if you take a franchise title and they want to go outside of the realm and try to introduce new elements, and you try to put it in a community that's already been, I will say, 2-3 games deep in a certain franchise, anything new at that point is just huge backlash. Nobody wants to see it. It's trash. And then you try it out, even if it's good, like if you take a new IP, make a brand new IP, and you implement all the ideas, and like that blows up because it's in this particular franchise with this set community doing whatever whatever they want to do with it. Kind of like, hey, I don't really like this. Go fuck yourself. That type of thing. They'll see it as something that's bad. And so I think that's a really tough spot to put developers when they want to continue to build on a brand that they've been working on for a specific game. And I don't really know if there's a way to change it, just something that we're talking about today.
The solution is new IPs.
Every single title, though?
Every title has to be a new IP.
I don't know.
Like, realistically, it'd be really cool if more games went the route of, like, BioShock, for example, has a kind of overarching theme and universe, but the games themselves are independent, like BioShock 1 Infinite.
Does
might be able to do that.
Morrowind, Elder Scrolls follow the same type of, I guess,
yeah, but it shares
philosophy?
gameplay similarities across all of them.
Oh, okay.
Final Fantasy, I guess, would be a good example. They've changed entire systems.
Oh, each time, though, it's the same thing. Each time they introduce a new system, I think at this point, though, you kind of expect that with Square Enix and Final Fantasy. But each time
like
they
7, 8, 9, 10 were there's differences throughout there. Obviously now it's franchise is floundering, but
I honestly I haven't played a Final Fantasy since 11.
Yeah.
So,
but I
wouldn't
think
know
those are
right now.
examples of how you can change entire systems without alienating your fan base, and you kind of make it separate,
Yeah.
I don't know. Most of the examples you gave, like the mod, as far as mods go, they all had problems once they tried to iterate on it. You know what I mean? Like, Half-Life became Counter-Strike, and then
Right.
Counter-Strike had problems going from 1.6 to Source because it was different, and they're having problems going to Go as well. Warcraft became Dota, and Dota's been the same forever. When they released a new version, which would have been like Heroes of New Earth, no one wanted to go over there. League of Legends didn't capture most of the Dota community; it captured its own audience, So, even though those were big departures for the initial genre, changing from that has proved impossible.
Impossible?
Difficult.
Yeah, I say
Dota
difficult.
2 Dota 2 is basically the same game as Dota 1, but people are moving over there as a result. You know?
Right. StarCraft, another
Yeah, I haven't
another.
really seen a game like change drastically over time and be successful, especially the shooter space.
Well, you gave one. Well, although
I
it's
said
kind of the
Bioshock,
same. Bioshock.
and it's still really similar. It's just different universe, you know.
Uh, yeah, I guess so. Yeah. So the only safe thing that you can do as a dev in a community that doesn't want to change, you can either continue to update your game to the point where I don't know, 10 years from now you're looking at the same game, but it's built off of community feedback and dev support and all that stuff all the way through, or you just make new IPs. Well, I guess there's three options. You make new IPs that are possibly the same game, different title, and just kind of throw it out there, or you just continue with the franchise, making little incremental changes for the entire duration that you decide to keep that franchise alive, which I think sucks, but whatever.
Really, it just seems like the best approach is a continually updated game.
Right.
Um, I don't see anything wrong with that. If people like playing your game, then keep updating it.
I know exactly, especially
Or
if you
keep
have a
keep
rabid
adding
fan
content.
base.
Like you don't necessarily have to change things. Keep adding to it.
So community topic is perfect spectating features. uh
So we were talking about it before the show, and maybe someone can try to dispute me on this. Although I doubt that many people go back this far. I believe that Half-Life TV was the first official like spectating mode for video games, which was obviously used for Counter Strike really extensively through its growing phases. So I believe that was first one. I'll go start out with that little tidbit, and then leave it to you, I guess.
hmm. I actually don't even remember Half-Life. I mean, I remember Half-Life 2 TV. I don't remember watching anything there. um
I just did a little bit. What they used to do a lot of time was they did. This is where the term shoutcasting came from. It used to be kind of like a podcast type deal where you just kind of be it'd be an audio stream, and then you would play it while you watch Half Life TV.
oh,
So that was like the origin of the word. Um, but then Half Life TV was the in-game client where you'd be able to watch in-game,
watch it in game.
and you connect to an IP.
And that ended up turning into the Counter-Strike version. Like, did they just build off of that and do the Counter-Strike iteration?
It was all the same program.
Okay.
It
Because
was developed by Valve. It wasn't. It was official.
I think when I first started spectating, I was watching. Obviously, I wasn't spectating live. I don't think I watched a lot of VODs, and then probably 2007 or 2008, I started watching some Counter Strike. And I take that back. 2005 or 2006, I started watching MLG live. And that's probably the first time I saw like some competition for console stuff for Halo. And at that time, I think 2005, they were like on the USA Network or something like that.
Yeah.
At some weird ass time. And so I was like, oh shit. And I was like a senior in high school or freshman in college or something like that. And I just didn't pay attention really to the scene other than happening to cross Halo. And so I started watching Counter Strike, and the difference, I didn't really know all of the setup involved with making spectating work on Halo, because MLG, obviously they had the money to make it look like you were watching, from a spectator point of view, like it was built into the game almost. So I didn't know all the behind the scenes stuff that went on just to make that work. And then when I saw Counter Strike, they had like map overlays. You could see like the little dots of where players were going.
3D map. Yeah.
3D map. I mean, it was just like, whoa, what is this? This is awesome. And that's probably when I really started to be like, okay, if a game has spectator, that means people can watch. And if people can watch, that means it will kind of build an audience and people kind of get into it. So I think maybe some perfect examples of, I think different games call for different things when it comes to spectator, for the most part. With shooters, at least, I don't really feel like, from a spectator standpoint, you need free roaming cameras too much. Most of the time, you need positional cameras. Um, I think Gears does that on their spectator mode, either on death or in their spectator mode, where, like, there's a hill and you can position yourself over the hill to that specific camera. And then there's a portion of it where you need like the map overlay with the dots, to kind of see how plays break down and where people are going, things of that nature. Um, and this is just for shooters. And then the ability to cycle between each player. Those are like the core things that I think are, a shooter. You need the map overlay. You need positional like points for your camera that doesn't involve you cycling through, like roaming through free roam just to get to that point. And then you need to be able to cycle through players. That's the core for shooters. Like outside of that, there's MOBAs, top down RTS, which is essentially a MOBA in my opinion. You can use the same type of spectating features there. But a lot of those guys do some really different things, and I think you have Dota on there as one that does that. You could talk about that because I know you know the system a lot better than I do.
Yeah, before going to that, on the shooter thing, I tack on a couple things. For games with single life, it's really cool to be able to have a overlay showing how many players are alive and their health and that kind of stuff. Uh, Counter-Strike Go does that really, really well. Gears did it to a lesser extent, and I believe Call of Duty does it now as well. Call of Duty Spectate actually also brings another nice feature I thought was being able to have the scoreboard on the side, like while you play the
While
match.
you play, oh yeah, that's
And then they
sweet.
were highlighting like kill streaks and stuff, and it made it really easy for the commentators to flip through to someone who's wrecking shit. So I thought that was real cool. Uh, I also have down as good examples of spectate StarCraft. Obviously, that's pretty straightforward, I think, as far as spectating goes. There's lots of statistics and data and information that the spectators or the commentators can relay. Counter Strike Go and Black Ops were the other ones. In addition to Dota 2, which I want to talk about quite a bit because I think their spectate is the best in the business right now. So for those who don't know, you can actually spectate Dota 2 in game. You'll be able to just hop in. They actively promote streams. They put a big thing on the front page, this tournament. For smaller leagues, they'll let you sell spectator passes. So you can actually sell like stream passes pretty much like MLG would do as a tournament organizer. And then they'll give you a cut of the profits. I think the majority of it actually. So you can watch in-game in the client, and then not only that, but you can select from commentators inside the client. So you can be like, oh, I want to listen to Toby Wan cast this game, or oh, I want to listen to the Russian commentary. So
What? I didn't know they had that.
yep. So for the international, I was sitting there watching, and you could actually they had two English streams, so you could kind of take your pick, and then they had all the international streams, and you could just like pop right into the audio commentary of choice, or you could turn off none. You could use the directed camera and have the exact same camera that they're doing on their stream, so you can see exactly what the commentator is seeing. Or you can pull it off. You can go free cam. You can move it around on your own if you want to check something real quick. Or you can use like their directed camera or any of the camera settings that are available to the commentators. You can do. And then if you want to hop back on, you just switch back to the camera, and then bam, you're right where they are. No other game is even close to that.
That's ridiculously. They really thought about that. They
Yeah.
really, really thought about that.
So like no game's even close to that. And then on top of that, they have various incentives for spectators. So you can buy team banners, for example, is one of the things I really liked during the international. I got my Navi banner because I was all excited. So you pay like $2, and then at the top of the overlay where they would display the team name and like the map count, there's a little total number of how many people are watching the stream right now in the in-game client with that team banner on. So you kind of feel like you're part of that group. And then if your team wins, then they choose from the people wearing the banner, and then they'll give out prizes and in-game items and stuff. In addition to that, in their
Dang.
store, if you're a popular streamer or you're a commentator doing a tournament, and then you're like, hey, I want to give back to people watching right now. Let's do a giveaway. They can actually do in-game giveaways where they have like a prize basket, and then they just activate it, and then it hands out 30 prizes to their viewers, or 5 prizes or 1 prize to their viewers, based on in-game stuff. It's like all these are microtransaction things, which a portion of the profits goes towards the person who is using it. So like the team banner stuff, I think they said that 60% of the profits from that went to the teams, and then on the baskets, I'm not sure actually. But so there's all that. In addition to that, teams can put their logos and stuff on the map, like as part of the in-game banners, like where there's like banners flying on the map, or in the home base, there's a big icon where your team logo would be. So like you can kind of brand it, and you can push your sponsors and that kind of stuff is the pretty common use for that stuff. So the teams can kind of like throw themselves into the game, and then the fans can become better, more connected.
Right.
It's like
So basically,
all
with
this just complete next level.
yeah. So with the hold on, I'm kind of you killed it with the branding thing. So with the branding, you can put your sponsors on it like it's a football field and advertise. What?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's not intrusive. It's like just one little banner on the side, and it actually even animates, has like the fluttering like you'd expect, and it has you can throw your team logo up there. And then in the base and the fountain, which is kind of a poor choice because usually you only see your fountain if you're losing, because they're looking at your base being destroyed or you spawning in.
Right.
But right in the middle of the fountain is the team logo,
Wow.
and of course they have the logo in the UI at the top where it would have all that stuff.
So I mean, they're going above and beyond. If you
Realistically, the
have
only thing missing is in-game like live cameras as a overlay.
for players.
Yeah, like players and streamers
Okay.
and commentators
Okay.
and stuff.
Yeah. So hold on, let me ask this real quick. Does the Dota 2 also have it built into Twitch?
No, not right now.
So it's all in-game streaming only. And so
Yeah,
like
and then
if
the commentators have to do it
the
on their own,
commentators have to do the streaming. Okay.
and that
So
might be something coming soon. So I guess that's another thing which is missing.
right.
But most of
Mm,
the commentators are like the Dota guys are all pretty high tech.
I that might be I mean, you basically named off everything that I would possibly ever think of and want as of right now
Yeah,
in the spectator in Dota too. So
it's really
I
good.
I think that pretty much nails that specific topic with Dota. I mean, I can't even think of anything that I would want outside of everything that you just named. Being able to brand, like that's crazy.
I'll say this: like the next international, they do this big tournament every year. For those who don't know, it's kind of like the World Cup of Dota, so to speak. The next time they have the international, do yourself a favor and get the client and just spectate a few matches. Like figure out when they're playing. It's usually like all day, pretty much, and just spectate a few matches and check it out because it's really really cool. Oh yeah,
Uh,
he noted there's player perspective. That's the other thing. You can actually see from the player's point of view what they're clicking and spin around stuff.
Man, that's so high tech. Um, and before I end on this and go get over to our gears judgment, and I don't have any pointed topic. It's just a rant for both Colin and I. The reason that spectating is so important is, and I think some of the I guess MOBA guys are really paying attention to it. You have that Valve with Dota, obviously Riot, and Smite is a high res. It's that if you have spectating options, it really allows people to get really connected to your game and just expand upon the viewership and viewing experience. And what it's trying to do is bring more people in. Whenever you get popular people, like Day Nine, for example, or is it Toby? Toby does the Dota. Is that right?
Toby won, yeah.
Toby one. Okay. Those guys are very charismatic, and people are just drawn to them, and so they help build the player base just by having that in, and so it's able to just continue to it kind of fuels the community longevity wise for competitive events and things like that, helping build on community-oriented events and orchestrating things like that. But it just helps the game, down the road, further down the road, from just kind of dying. Um, so I guess I don't know, Colin, if you want to add anything to that, I'm going to switch it over.
No, I think that's good. Not only does it help it not die, but it helps it build up a bit too, which I think is what they've been trying to do with high res at Smite.
Yeah.
Is they've had a 24-hour stream going pretty much, and the numbers seem like they just keep going up for the most part. Beyond whenever, like, obviously it spikes for tournaments and stuff, but their day-to-day hourly viewers keeps going up slowly, but it goes up.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, it's good.
They
It's,
have a ridiculous
community
schedule,
involvement.
by the way.
Yeah, it's really aggressive. they have different community people streaming all day
On the official channel.
on the official channel. Yes, like people hop off their normal channel and stream on the Smite game channel. So I'm guessing they're getting paid, which is cool.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So Gears Judgment rifle buff. Skyless put out his video yesterday. I actually didn't get a chance to play it until last night, and I just kind of went off of what Colin told me, and watching the changes and just knowing how Gears of War plays out. This is again a rant more so than us bullet pointing things that we want to talk about. I have my whole thing set up for tomorrow for Active Reload, where I'm just gonna kind of get into that and let people know what's going on. So first off, was this a necessary buff? Yeah, Colin's shaking his head. No, I agree. Not at all. I don't think it was necessary. I think it was one of those things where you have a game that's been around for 7 years.
Yep.
And of those 7 years, the Nasher's always been dominant. Always.
Literally, always. From start to finish.
The Nasher's been the most dominant gun, just period. With or without stopping power. With or without active damage boost. And
with or without hammer burst in Gears 2.
With or without hammer burst. Gears 3, retro, doesn't matter.
With or without the retro and the sawed off in Gears 3.
And you add the Markza, the classic hammer burst in there. And then you say, okay, we're going to take away the rifle and you're going to choose one loadout. Again, for 7 years, people have been playing Nasher heavy gameplay. What do you expect the majority of the community to pick? Just makes sense, right? The Nasher. So based off of what we tested with the numbers, and I will say this from my experience playing the game, if you know how to play Gears and you work on a specific weapon, whether that be the Lancer, whether that be the Hammer Burst, whether that be, whatever the gun is going to be, you can work that weapon just fine. In ranked and pubs and competitive, doesn't matter. And I think that the times, at least from the competitive community standpoint, were probably spot on. Probably the most balanced we've ever seen in a Gears of War game ever. And I think a lot of people that wanted more rifle-based play kind of upset. But I didn't really see those as the predominant complaints on the forums. That's on forums, on YouTube, on Twitter. Everywhere I went, I didn't see players asking in large quantities, large numbers to buff the rifles. I just didn't see that at all. So them buffing the rifles based off of their data, contrary to what I consider to be the more prominent issues, which were the stem grenade, which I saw people complaining about a lot, the melee, which I saw people complaining about a lot, and the general lack of content, which I saw people complaining about a lot. It's just baffling. It's baffling that they would say
Nasher's the problem.
Nasher is the issue with this. We're gonna bounce back the melee because the Lancer or the rifle users won't have any defense. They won't have any type of defense when the Nasher player gets in their face. And they're going to get meleeed and two-pieced or whatever. So we need to buff or nerf that and, give a longer delay with the Nasher and buff the rifles. I'm just blown away. Now, here is the point that I think makes me the most upset with how all of this went down. Okay, I expected I expected the rifles to get buffed. I expected it, especially considering how much the Nasher was going on and how Epic kind of thinks about stats, how they're stat oriented. So the fact that there was a Nasher, or I'm sorry, rifle buff, no surprise. What surprised me is that they took the Gears 3 approach, and I believe, Colin, there's several times that people wanted you to update the weapon damage breakdown that you did on Gears 3 because Epic released updates on weapons and they didn't tell anyone. They didn't publicize it anywhere.
Yep.
Didn't talk about it. And that was to the Retro, I think, got a buff, and might have been one other weapon. Didn't talk about it. So Gears 3 or Gears Judgment comes around within a week and a half of the game being out.
10 days after release.
10 days after release, we see a pretty significant, Colin said 25% to 30% initially when he first did his tests, that the rifles were buffed. And I saw Pete tweeted that when he was talking to you, that they talked about it he said it on his timeline. I went back 3 days on his timeline and I didn't see anything about rifles buff. The only thing I saw was that he said that he was talking with David Nash about the statistics and what people were complaining about, popular complaints. So I saw that, and I swear to God, I scrubbed his timeline for at least 10 minutes and did not see a tweet about the rifles being buffed. I saw him updating different things on the fly, stim grenades, whatever, I don't even remember what it said. And then he said something about the melee. And then after, we kind of said, what's up with these ninja buffs going on? Then he's like, oh, no, we talked about it on the live stream. And then, Colin, you had someone say to you, I think it was Typographic. Is that right? Might have been tweeted you and me and said that he listened to the live stream again and said he didn't even catch it.
Yeah, so, which means it wasn't a huge point. I haven't listened, so I can't say.
I didn't listen either. I'm just going off of what
awful source for informing the community when there's only 800 people, 1,000. I'm not even sure how many people watch. It's not a lot.
I don't know how many people watch their stream. Maybe 2,200, I think, is the most I've seen consistently when Rada was doing it. But when I think about, again, let me reiterate. This is what makes me so pissed off about this whole situation. Epic has been around for 20 years. 20 years. Most game studios, and I talked about this a couple weeks ago, last for 5 years in the industry. Epic has been around for 20 years developing games. How on earth do they think that ninja tweaks is the way to go without properly updating the community, like in patch notes? And I've seen people with the argument that, hey, they don't have to do shit for you guys. And it's like, okay, that's fine. But as a AAA studio, and I consider Epic to be probably based off of profit margin and sheer revenue to be a top 5 studio in the world, how are they not releasing notes, patch notes, whenever they do an update? Halo does it. Call of Duty does it. League of Legends does it. PlanetSide does it. Hell, we do it. We're not AAA studio. We do it. Zombie Studios does it. Certain Affinity, I'm gonna throw them in with 343. They would do it. Who else you guys want me to name off? Valve does it. Okay, what?
Literally every single. I can't even
every
name
single
major
studio
developer.
fucking releases patch notes. Then after the fact, after a couple people are like, no one knew about it. We see Jim post on the forums like, "Hey guys, what we're doing."
Only after I reviewed the video and made a bunch of stink about it on the forums.
So it's like,
and even then, they didn't address half the buffs to the other guns, and they didn't give specific numbers. They didn't give specific changes.
I just don't understand. Epic has been doing this for 20 years. 20 years. They have been doing this for 20 years. I don't understand how they could be doing this for 20 years and not release patch notes with their update. They have a community site. It's run, for the most part, fantastically. But when it comes to serious game updates, I don't see shit about that. It's always a party going on. It's always a party. Oh, community spotlight. Yes, that's awesome. Oh, we got this new thing. Oh, we just opened up a store. Yes, that's awesome. Oh, the Unreal Engine is doing sweet. Oh, man, that's awesome. When it comes to game stuff, it's like, oh, we got the Reaper. Oh, man, the new Reaper's up. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, we got this every time. Oh, yeah, that's sweet. That's awesome. Where's some game news? Where's the updated information about what people care about in your game? Where is that?
Yeah. I already ranted. I got my 6 minute rant out last night.
And this isn't even what I'm going to get into on Active Reload. This is just a portion of it. Like, this is just a portion of what I'm frustrated with Gears of War Judgment. Just a portion. I'm just blown away. 20 years in the industry, and they have not released patch notes. When's the last time you've seen patch notes? Gears of War 3, maybe the first time?
I think the last patch note I saw was Gears 2, and I believe in that patch note it was added hookups so we can adjust stuff server side.
I honestly, I don't remember the last time.
No, it was throughout Gears 2 because there was no dedicated, so they couldn't do stuff. Actually, no, there was server side. Shit. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was early Gears 2.
I'm just blown away.
I know they did in Gears 1.
I love Epic to death, but like I am just blown away by that. So, you know, I don't have a problem with them if they want to do the ninja style, if they want to update via Twitter, if that's the new way to update patch notes, that's fine.
Why the hell is Pete the one that's communicating patch notes?
Why, I don't know. Why is Pete communicating patch? I don't know.
He's the guy that pushes them live, and I'm sure he has a say in the decisions, but it's a design thing. You know what I mean? Like, that should be coming from official sources, or at the very least, I'd expect it to come from the people making the decisions directly. I feel like Pete gets a lot of flack, which is unfair.
Right. It's not Pete's fault. I agree. It's not Pete's fault. He's sitting there updating on Twitter. That's fine. I'm just saying, as a studio that has been developing games for, again, let me reiterate this, 20 years, why are there no patch notes about the game changes? I just, every other studio does it. They're a AAA studio. I have very high standards for Epic, and I'm blown away. Absolutely blown away. That's all I'm gonna say about it. I'm just surprised there was no patch notes. Very surprised.
I'll say this, by the way. My favorite parts about the post by Jim today. A, it looks like it was written this morning. It was just like stream of thought, you know what I mean? But B, Boomshot appears to be overpowered in execution, so we removed it. Just hilarious, because there's nothing different about the boom now versus the boom in Gears 1, 2, or 3, or Judgment, you know? So I thought that was fucking hilarious. And then reduce the hammer burst damage by a fraction of a bullet. Or increased hammer burst damage by a fraction of a bullet. Which is just ridiculous, because if you go in and test it in-game, it takes one less bullet to down.
Right.
There's no math. There's no such thing as a fraction of a bullet when it comes to how many bullets it takes to down someone.
And I think here's the funniest thing to me is like people are like, "Man, you guys just want it to be a Nasher game." And I saw you commented on this and in the comments. For anyone that has not seen competitive play, it is 80 to 90% Lancer rifle play, whatever you want to call it. It is rifle play. It's rifle-based gameplay. All of the competitive players are very, very good with rifles. So, you know, for anyone that kind of throws it like, oh, we're hating on the Nasher, no. You know, we just, that's what it is. But when you throw that in a competitive environment, you say the rifle, I believe the Lancer now downs in 0.7 seconds. It might be higher than that now. It might be like 0.8 or something like 0.9.
If it's 50%, it'd be like 0.89, something like 0.9.
Yeah, so if you look at like what the rifle players are saying, okay, if you have two rifles on a guy, mind you, he's probably going to die anyway, but at this point, he has even less of a chance to maneuver his way out of a sticky situation, an error in judgment, and make a play or get out of that situation. So I think that's kind of why the competitive community is upset. I'm just upset that they didn't update it. Like there was no official update. There's still no official update on that community site. There's not. There's none. There's now a post on the forums that looks like Colin said, was thrown together this morning with some stuff. So
Yeah.
that's all I got on it for today. There's a lot more stuff I want to cover, and I will do so tomorrow on Active Reload. But that's all I got.
Yeah. I don't want to get into it now, but I really hope you guys go into why the 80% of kills with the Nasher is a bullshit statistic. That's all.
Yeah, I have more stuff.
Yeah, you guys got to get into that. And I will say this. A lot of people are saying that, you know what, no, I'll just let you guys get it. I'm going to ranting for like 10 minutes if I get into it.
Just go ahead. Go ahead. Come on. You might as well just go ahead. If you just
let me say, all right, just let me say this. So, if 7 out of 10, or 6 out of 10, or 8 out of 10 people in a room are using a Nasher, you're never going to notice the rifles being a problem, regardless what the damage is. Like, it's not going to be a thing because you're only being killed by it a fraction of the time. You know, it's not every single fight. But it's a slippery slope because if you get into a room where people are using 7 out of 8, 8 out of 8, 9 out of 8, 9 out of, 10, 7 out of 10, 8 out of 8, 9 out of 10. If they're all using rifles, it becomes ridiculously hard to move. And it's been the same in every single Gears title. It's been the same in every Gears title. Every single one.
Fast-paced. Action.
Which is
intense.
why when you watch
fast-paced
competitive Gears, it's 80% rifle because teamfire with the rifle is far superior to Nasher play. The Nasher succeeds in matchmaking because everyone's using the Nasher. And it's because people enjoy using the fucking Nasher. Like, that's just how the Gears community is. It's how it's always going to be. It's never going to change. It's been that way since day one. It's not changing. But that doesn't make the rifles any underpowered. It just makes people like using the Nasher. Like, that's what it is in the end of the day. If you look at the stats and you say, oh, 80% of the kills with the Nasher, maybe it's because 60, 70% of the people are picking the Nasher, and then all the fights are close range. So, naturally, all the kills are going to be with the Nasher.
And
it doesn't make it any more difficult to use the fucking rifles. Like,
you know where it goes with that. It's like
so
if you introduce the loadout system and you make people choose, they're going to choose what they like to play with. Why be upset about it?
Yeah. And now, if I like to play with the Nasher, it means that 100% of my kills are with the Nasher because you didn't give me a fucking rifle to start with. And then you're fucking surprised because the percentage went up 10% over Gears 3. You took away my rifle. Of course it's going to go up 10%. And then you added free-for-all, which is a mode where everyone's going to be running around with the Nasher. All those Raven Down matches in Gears 2 and Gears 3 where people just ran around with the Nasher, that was essentially free-for-all back then. Essentially free-for-all. The 16-round servers in Gears 1, essentially free-for-all with the Nasher, right? And then you're going to add free-for-all and be surprised that the Nasher kills are so high. You're going to add Domination, which is King of the Hill, basically. You're going to remove Execution, which previously was probably one of the more rifle-dominated modes. And then you're going to be surprised that the shotgun damages, or shotgun kills are so high. Like, everything is tailored towards it. Map design. You're going to add these sprawling maps with tons of cover and things to drop down off and close distance and lots of cover and short alleyways versus the simple Gears 2 and Gears 3 maps where there's like 2 or 3 choke points on the map and you spawn symmetrically. And then you're going to be surprised that Nashers are getting more kills. You're going to give me 3 grenades to help close gaps, and then you're going to be surprised that Nasher is getting more kills. But the amount of people playing with the Nasher hasn't changed, or has changed very slightly. I imagine that because sales are lower, more people are playing with the Nasher, but that's a whole other topic.
Right. That's a whole nother topic. We'll probably bring that up tomorrow, but...
And people enjoy it! Why the... Without the Nasher, this game would be just as boring as all those other games that are just rifles. Hell, it'd be worse. It's third person. Rifle gameplay in third person is really awful. I'm sorry. It's easy.
It is very easy. and I we touched on enough. Let's hit questions for you guys. Try not to get our blood pressure up.
I'm not an active reload tomorrow, so I can save my bit.
Yeah. uh
Yeah. Any
what question?
questions?
What questions you guys got? What questions?
Someone asked earlier if we were going to touch on playlists in Gears Judgment, and I mentioned that that'll be a topic for tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Kale's already talked about that a bit with me. We also touched on it a couple weeks ago, I believe.
Yeah.
Or after release.
We talked about it immediately after release because of VIP playlists. That again, I don't want to get into it right now. Just
tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Active reload, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Yeah, no questions.
No questions tonight. Okay. We're also lagging behind, so.
Sounds like Tux is about ready to be done too.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, we're also lagging way behind, so you might want to give a second. Way behind. Your shit's jacked up.
Hey, it's not my fault. I have not changed a thing. You know what it was? We had that storm today.
Yeah, for those who don't know, it's well, I imagine most of you don't know, as everyone stays up to date on Austin weather. I got a story while we're waiting on this though. I was driving home yesterday from work. This dude was holding a snake out the window of his car. A live snake.
What
So I was
kind?
thinking, it's April Fool's Day, and I'm like, that must be a fake snake. He's just fucking with people. But the snake repositioned itself on his hand. Repositioned itself on his hand. He was just holding a live snake in his hand out the window.
What kind of snake was it?
It was a snake.
It was a snake. Well, Austin has like rattlesnakes.
What, you think he was just holding a rattlesnake? I doubt that.
If he was a badass, I mean, he's a badass anyway for holding a snake.
Nah.
So why not go all in?
Yeah, I was pretty disturbed. I took some pictures, posted on Twitter.
uh,
Alright, we got questions now.
okay.
Is Domination a good replacement to King of the Hill and Annex, in our opinion?
Yes. Not on the maps.
Sure.
I say yes, but not on all the maps.
Yeah, some of the maps, I don't know. Some of the maps, as if there's so many.
Right.
But
Oh, there's so many maps.
But half the maps doesn't work that great on. What do you think of Nasher start only for Gal competitive play?
What's wrong with it?
Wait, if you had no Nasher only?
Oh, only? Oh, okay. Nasher only. No. I would go Nasher Marksa or Nasher Classic Hammerburst.
The NJ Halo rules I thought were interesting. They are limiting 2 Lancers. That's the only rule. It's Lancer and Shotgun only, which I disagree with, but it's Lancer and Nasher only. You can only have 2 Lancers. You can have 4 shotties if you want. Interesting take on it. I imagine that you can probably pick up a Lancer or a Shotgun during the game and have both pretty easily.
What do you think about red and blue team not spawning equal length from power weapon on library? There's nowhere else to put the boom shot, really. It was an issue that we ran into on the playtest, so probably in the best spot it can be if they want to keep that on the map. Otherwise, I'd switch it out for like a Bushka or something.
I think they could have left some like extra crossing angles, make it more difficult to pick up or something, or make it more open down there. But again, as we talked about on Active Reload last week, I believe it was, maps were made more for free-for-all and respawn stuff than execution.
Execution, right?
So the cover down there is more meant for free-for-all.
So it's like if you pull off a sick headshot with like the Markser, or you just down the guy or throw a nade, sick nade, and kill him, TDM, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's like the boom shot will be up another 2 minutes or whatever if you don't pick it up. So I don't know. What's your favorite game type in Battlefield? Conquest. We're lacking so far behind.
I told you.
I can't help it though, dude. My stream is balling out with the
We'll blame the storm.
blaming the storm.
Uh, when do I think the next map pack will be out? Probably a month and a half, 2 months. Just judging off of how long stuff usually takes.
Are you talking about for Gears?
Yeah, he's talking about Gears.
It better be before spring or fall hits.
Yeah, for the next one, it'll probably be a month, month and a half. And we're still waiting on one of our free maps from Maxim, so I don't know. Maybe I should be more concerned if that wasn't ready to go already. You know?
Yeah, Capital. Ooh, yeah. Where is that? We'll talk
Yeah,
about that
I'm not
tomorrow
sure.
too. I don't know where that map is at.
I mean, if it wasn't ready to go, then that makes it pretty less likely, at least, that the next set of maps are ready to go. You know?
Yeah.
Uh, bunch of people asking thoughts on execution.
I
With
only played one
the
game. I
large
don't.
maps and the power weapon adjustments. Yeah, I haven't played yet, to be honest. I
Cause
just hopped on last night. I was sick all weekend, so I didn't get a chance to play.
my only interest in execution right now is pretty much viewing other teams play. I have no interest in playing execution. I think it's a dumb game type.
Yeah, I concur.
I don't like execution.
Bomb Games at 2013.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I've never enjoyed playing it in pubs really past Gears 1.